Hi there, my name is Felix of JazzGuitarWorkshop.com, based in Melbourne, Australia. I'm a jazz guitar enthusiast and a friend of Gary Rizzolo's, very gifted luthier based here in Australia, in Hobart, Tasmania to be precise. I'm here to have a bit of a show off and talk about one of Gary's beautiful instruments. This is a 6-string archtop guitar that I had Gary build for me about a good 13 years ago now. It's been well gigged and well loved. This is a 6-string 17-inch archtop. When I was looking 13 years ago for an acoustic archtop to have made for me, the Benedetto boom in the US had taken off, and everyone was into archtop guitars at the time. When given the weak Australian dollar 13 years ago, couldn't quite afford the acoustic archtops, custom-made archtops coming out of the US. So I looked around Australia for a maker, and the reality was at the time there weren't a lot of makers out there who were building archtop guitars in the modern American tradition, for want of a better word. There were a number of guitar makers here who were building acoustic archtops along the lines of the Angelicos and the Diakistos. Very big, heavy projecting instruments, very specific sound to them, very old feel to them as well. And that wasn't what I was after. I was really after a more modern archtop, which responded quite differently from the old archtops that D'Angelico built. And there really wasn't anyone out there that I saw that actually got that. But Gary did. So convinced, it looked like his instruments looked beautiful enough that I took a trip down to Tasmania to have a chat to him, and this came out of that first meeting years ago. The guitar's a 17-inch archtop. Gary loves using wood binding all around. The quality of his workmanship's second to none. It's absolutely beautiful. The maple back, spruce top, maple back and sides. Birdseye maple for the neck. It's actually a 3-piece neck with 2 veneers in there, so technically I suppose that's a 5-piece neck. Gary loves attention to detail. I love the way he does the veneer on the back of his headstocks with an extra special touch as well. And given it was a custom instrument, Gary could basically do anything he wanted. I designed this veneer for him, I think, at the time, and then the rose inlay, and he basically did it for me. This ended up being a wedding present from my wife to me, so we personalized it with obviously the inlays, with our wedding date there, wife's signature on the truss rod cover, an inlay I drew up with Gary there, rose inlay, and my wife's and my initials on the tailpiece. Gary also favors a hinge attachment in the tailpiece rather than the gut attachment, which seemed to be popular. The gut string, or cable attachment, which seemed to be popular amongst archtop makers of the time. We also discussed the sort of sound I was after in an archtop, and at the time my preference lent towards trying more mellow, warm sound, something that I could enjoy playing acoustically at home. Now these guitars are built to be played acoustically first and foremost, and then we put a floating pickup on it, obviously for practical purposes and for amplification. As such, you can't really expect them to respond the same way you would an old Gibson archtop or any one of those classic jazz boxes. Those really weren't built to be acoustic instruments. They were built to be electric instruments to begin with and sound completely different and respond completely differently to the way these do. These are a lot brighter sounding, in my opinion, than those archtops. So that's a shock to a lot of players, jazz guitar players, who first come to a fully acoustic carved modern archtop. They pick up the guitar and they expect to feel and hear the old Gibson sound, and you're just not going to get it from these. You have to take them for what they are, and they sound and feel completely different. It's an X-brace system on this one, slightly thinner top because we were after a particular sound that Gary did manage to achieve for me. Acoustically, this guitar just sings, makes you want to keep playing. It's gorgeous. The pickup that's fitted on this is a Benedetto pickup, one of the early ones. I've actually since moved on to Kent Armstrongs, and so has Gary. We seem to like the sound of Kent Armstrongs a little better match with his archtops. But a nice sweet touch that Gary did for me was I complained that that I couldn't feel where the knob was. I couldn't quite work out where the volume knob was set on stage. So Gary actually built these chicken-headed, or he calls them chicken heads. I call them teardrop-shaped knobs, so you can feel exactly where you're in the dark. Now I've got this plugged into a acoustic image Claris 2R amp with a 12-inch speaker cabinet by Razor's Edge, all set to flat. So this is pretty much the pickup and the guitar that you're going to be hearing coming out of this. I actually usually prefer to tweak the EQ this a little bit differently to get the sound I want. This is what it's like with everything set at 12 o'clock. So I'll play a little bit of what I was doing before Autumn Leaves. And there you have it. Beautiful sounding guitar, unplugged and plugged in. This guitar has been with me for the last 13 years, and as I said, it's been well gigged. It's showing signs of wear now. But you could not ask for a better instrument. Gary has really inspired me to do better since I've gotten this guitar. I've actually got two more of his other guitars, archtop 7 strings, which I'll feature in a future video at some point. But yes, please head on down to Gary's website to check out this guitar. The pictures of this particular guitar there on show as a model for his standard 6-string archtop guitar, as well as my 7 strings on there. You can follow Gary Rizzolo's on Facebook as well. I'll be helping Gary post some videos and news and reviews, hopefully, as we go down the track. And don't forget to check me out on Facebook as well. Links are down below in the description as well. So feel free to message me, write to me if you got any questions about Rizzolo guitars, and mine in particular. I'm more than happy to share. We'll see you next time. Take care.